All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. I am happy to be here today on this Thursday. We almost made it through the week, but we cannot end the week without giving you guys some real talk, some real value, and some real information and some inspiration and all of that. And to do this today, we are going to be having a conversation with one of our contributors, someone who has walked the journey, who is walking the journey that all of us are aspiring to walk, and creating her own brand, her own personal brand in the media and journalism space. I'd like to introduce you all this morning to our very own Kamryn Ashlii. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to see you out there, and you're in warm Florida.
Yes, I am currently in Orlando.
Awesome, awesome. So we're happy to have you today because we've been working with you for a while, and you've been contributing for a while, and I really think it's really great to hear your story and learn about how you got to where you are right now. And just for folks who don't know, right now you are a TV news producer
Mhm.
by night and by day or whenever. That's a very demanding role.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And also you are a contributor as well, and that's where you're kind of pivoting and creating your own personal brands. We're going to talk about what you have learned working as a TV news producer. For folks who are interested into getting into television news and areas of that nature. And then we're also going to talk about what you're looking to do with your own personal brand, and why is that important to you, and where you're going with that. So I guess let's start from the beginning. Now, you are a graduate of Florida A&M. Did you
Right.
study communications when you were in school? What was your background like?
Yeah, so actually when I initially came to Florida A&M, I did nursing, and I did nursing for 1 year. And I was just like, yeah, this is definitely not what I want to do. It was just like too much biology, too much math. That wasn't for me. And I knew I was really good at writing. That was something that I really enjoyed like all my life in school. Like English was my favorite subject. So I knew at FAMU they had like a really good journalism program. So I'm like, let me just give this a try. So I just completely switched my major my sophomore year, and I loved it ever since. Like I just kind of learned that foundation of writing, and then I kind of went from there. And
That
that's
that
kind of where, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds familiar. A lot of folks who start off going to college for one thing. I actually thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, and like you, that biology, those science classes, it changes the game. So at this point, you're saying, okay, let me do something else. Let me get into this journalism thing. Now, did you write when you were younger? Like, what made you kind of interested in the media business?
Well, I always kept like a journal, so I always like wrote in a journal, and I kind of always like did writing and stuff. And then kind of, I guess when I was a kid, like my teachers would always say like, "Oh, you're really good at writing. Your storytelling's so good." I never really knew what that meant, but I'm like, okay, cool. But then I always did theater, so that was kind of where I found my voice, I guess you could say a little bit, and I kind of put my writing with my voice. So growing up in like middle school, even high school, I did theater like all my life. So I was always like talking to people, getting into that like storytelling aspect with theater. So that was kind of, I guess, where it pivoted from, and I kind of just went from there, and then it came into journalism.
So it's funny that you had this foundation in theater and being in front of the camera and writing, and then you went to school for something completely different. I guess the safe job, the safe career, right?
It
Everybody
was
tells us, right?
definitely a safe career. I graduated early, so I was 17, and I was didn't know what to do. My mom just told me that I had to go to school. So she was a nurse. Everyone in my family were nurses, so I thought that was just like the safest route, and that's kind of what led me to do nursing at first. And then I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not my passion. I told my mom like I can't do this, and she understood. She was like, yeah, like I know who you are. You were always like the type to want to do something outside the ordinary, I guess you could say, from what my family did. So
More
she knew that
creative.
yeah, I was definitely more creative growing up. She
Mhm.
knew that that would be something that would be really successful in.
So you took a chance on yourself and you switched your majors in school and you started to pursue journalism. So,
Right.
you're pursuing journalism now. What point did you decide kind of like TV news and kind of being in front of the cameras where you wanted to be?
Yeah, so I kind of learned to do pivot towards the thing that you're good at, if that makes sense, and what people and listen to what people tell you that you're good at. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was in college, I had a professor. I still talk to him to this day. Like he kind of really my mentor at this point. He was like, "Yeah, you have like a really good voice. You know, I think you should try out to be the news anchor for like the college broadcasting shows that we have." And I was like, okay, like I guess I'll do it. And then I did it, and I ended up being the news anchor. And I did that for like one semester. So I was always like talking on camera. Then we had to do like little packages and stuff that we do in like news. So I was always using my voice for those packages and doing voiceovers and stuff. And he was like, yeah, you have a really good voice. So I kind of just did that and it worked out. I don't know. Like I was always listening to what other people kind of told me that I would be good at, and I just tried it and see if I liked it. So
I love that because I think that sometimes we don't realize that, other people's observations about us oftentimes can give us clarity
right.
that we don't have ourselves. We're like, oh, what should I be doing? And people are like, you're so good at this. And you're like, I don't know. But you were
Exactly.
able to kind of hone in on what you saw. And you were getting a lot of great experience on campus in school. So how did that prepare you for after graduation when you started looking for a job? Because you got a job within about 6 months of actually coming out of school.
Yeah, I would say use all the resources you can. And I was lucky enough to go to a school where we had like a magazine, we had like a radio station, we had the TV broadcasting. We had a lot of things there where I could like put my hands on. So I would just do like everything I could on campus. I would just try everything, and I don't even know if I really enjoyed it, but I would just try it just to see because I wasn't exactly sure what thing I was going to pivot towards first. And then
Mhm.
coming with that and just using all my resources on campus when it came to like the communications department that we had there.
Mhm.
I interned there. Like Tallahassee, where FAMU is at, it's like a political, like that's the capital of Florida. So we have like a lot of places that you can go just in Tallahassee to go around. So I would just use like every single resource that I can, and that kind of definitely really helped me pivot and get a
Get
job after
new
college.
experience. Yeah, I think that sometimes we don't take advantage of all those opportunities. I think the point here is, jump into everything in school, try it all out,
Right.
because that's kind of the time when you're free to do those things and you're free to explore and take advantage. So when you had to do your resume, when you had to go for a job interview, you were actually able to cite how you were working as a news anchor and actually doing these things.
Right. So I put like every single thing I did on campus, even if I didn't get paid for it, like I put it down on my resume because it was something that I gained experience in. So yeah, my resume was pretty full. And then I had some internships in there too as well that I actually did get paid for, so that kind of helped. But yeah, you have to start from somewhere. So I would just say, like, especially being in that college space, it was kind of easy for me to just do wherever I can on campus, especially since we had it there.
And then you get to the real world and you're like, yay, I'm getting a job in a newsroom. Like, how exciting was that to be able to kind of, because I mean, it takes a lot sometimes. I mean, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest complaints that people in media and journalism have is that how difficult it is to get a job in those spaces because people always say, well, you don't have the experience. Well, thankfully, you had some substantial experience. So, kudos to you on that. But that's a big deal to be able to actually go from college to working in a newsroom. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like in real life because it sounds glamorous and wonderful, but what does it really look like?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that I got a job so quickly just because of the stories that I heard being in school. Like, oh, like you might have to wait like a year or six months and all this. I'm like, oh my god, like I need a job like now, to pay bills and stuff like that. So I would say I graduated in December and I started working for the company I'm working at now in April of last year. So I'm coming up on a year now. Um, but I would say the kind of like the feelings with that would be towards like, okay, yeah, I really did something, and all the work that I did before in college kind of paid off to kind of where I am now. But I will also say that you kind of do still start at the bottom when you are just freshly getting out of college. And I guess I didn't really understand that because I'm like, oh, I did all this stuff before. I have the experience. Now I can just kind of do anything. But once you really get into your career, you still have to learn that you still like kind of still start at the bottom. So
Hmm.
um, I guess I did I answer your question? Is like
Well,
the
yeah, I
boss?
mean, what's that look like starting at the bottom? I mean, you're working your shift. When you're working, you're not working daytime, you're working at nighttime. And what are you doing when you say start at the bottom? What does that look like?
Right. So I started off as an associate producer for WSTV, where I'm working at now. And yeah, you get the graveyard shifts. You have to work on the weekends. So if you think you're going to be going out with your friends, working in a news station, like, yeah, have fun, but it's not going to work like that.
No life.
So my schedule working was like, what time did I start? Like 3 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that was sometimes on the weekends, it was even earlier, like 2:30 a.m. till 12:30
Wow.
p.m. So yeah, you're gonna be working crazy hours, and you're not gonna get all the same benefits that everyone else does in the newsroom because, of course, they've been there longer than you. So yeah, you start off associate producer and you kind of build yourself up. I actually just got promoted, and I was telling Felicia about it yesterday, and I just got promoted to be like official news producer, and I started that position in January. So now it's still the crazier hours. It's even crazier, and um, yeah, you just kind of do your career path like that. You know, you start off as associate producer, then it's a producer, and next year I might be executive producer. You never know. So
Hey, hey, jumping,
yeah,
jumping, jumping. So basically be prepared to take the graveyard shift, to take the less desirable roles. What are you doing what does a news producer do? So you're writing copy, you're making video packages. What are you doing?
yeah. So my job is basically to set up the whole entire show. So if you ever watch like a news show, like a live news show, the producer basically puts each story in order so that can make sense for the viewer. I'm writing down the scripts for what the anchors say. I'm making sure that the reporters are in the right place at the right time, making sure that their packages are in, like the videos match the scripts. Basically, making sure that every order of the show is in the right order
Wow.
for the anchors, for the reporters. Like it's basically my show. So if something goes wrong, it's like it's like your baby basically. Like I'm building up my baby and like I'm raising it, and it's like if something goes wrong in the show, it's like like you kind of get this like aching feeling that did I do it wrong? Was it someone else's fault? Or you know what I'm saying? So yeah, the anchor or the producer basically sets up the whole entire show for everyone to watch and see.
So you're talking about like a 1 hour show. You're setting up the intro. You're getting all of the pieces from the people on the street. At this time, we're going to throw it to this person. Like, how does that? That sounds like a whole lot of responsibility. I mean, I would think that you're working with a number of different people and teams, and people are filling in and putting everything together with you.
Yeah, definitely have a lot of help. The anchors are a lot of help, especially when it comes to writing scripts sometimes, because you might not have enough time to write a script, or it might not sound um, good when you're talking it. Like in your head, it might sound a certain way, but when you actually say it out loud, it's like, not too good. So then you have like an anchor, maybe rewrite a script. And then the reporters will be out there getting like interviews with people, and okay, I have this good interview with this good soundbite, let's use this in the show. So they're definitely like a big help when it comes to getting like sound, when it comes to getting good videos. We have photographers that go out and get like good videos. We have like a drone, so you can see like if we have like live traffic or like
Oh yeah, I've
a
seen
big
that.
accident on the highway or something like that. So yeah, like it's definitely a team effort when it comes
Mhm.
to getting everything together. Even the editors are like awesome where I work at. So
It
yeah,
sounds
definitely a
like
big team effort.
it sounds like it could be pretty hectic, on a day to day,
Yeah,
being in
definitely like
the
a big day. And Orlando is a pretty big market. It's not like New York or anything where something is going on every hour of the day, but Orlando is still a pretty big market. Like we have some big major stories that come out of Orlando. So if it's like a really big major news day, like it's crazy. Everyone's on edge.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So you got to be able to manage yourself, you're organized, you got to be able to keep a calm head.
Right.
People are running around and you got to just kind of keep it together. But one of the things I did hear is that you talked about writing, and that's one of the things that, the proficiencies that we focus on. And since you've been working with us in the guild, just want to talk about your building your personal brand and why that was important to you. Here you are, you've got this dream job that people like, oh my gosh, she's working as a news reporter. Like, everybody wants to be working at this environment. And at the same time, you're saying to yourself, I want to build my own brand. Talk about that and why that's important.
Yeah, I guess just having that entrepreneurial spirit in me kind of wants me to do that as well, because I don't really want to rely on kind of one paycheck my entire life. I think if I do build my own brand, I have more leeway to kind of be have more fun in my life, I guess you could say. Like, I can choose to travel for this position, or I can choose to do, like, different things when it comes to building a brand. So I would say that kind of what want me to takes me to want to build my brand in that way. But then also, starting off as a producer, you kind of learn the foundations of everything that you need to build that brand that you kind of want to see for yourself. So just working, I guess, just working the producer position and also building a brand at the same time is, it's like goes hand in hand with one another, because I'm kind of doing the same thing as producer to help me build a brand in the future. So
Right. So that activity of packaging something is it's lending itself to you packaging yourself and creating your own personal brand. What does that look like for you? What I hear from you is you're saying you get the freedom to create your own schedule. You get the freedom to travel and
right,
be who you
that's
want
the
to
word.
be and cover the stories that you like to cover. Right. What's the difference between what you're personally interested in and for your own personal brand and what you're doing now? I mean, that's kind of like straight news. I think you mentioned to me that you're more so interested in like entertainment and that type
Right.
of stuff. So tell me about, what does that look like, your personal brand?
So my personal brand would be more towards, yeah, entertainment, whether it's like in music and film. I kind of go back and forth, but they kind of go hand in hand. So, but with that, I could be more creative. Like, I could be more myself. I don't just have to. I could probably put more of my opinion in there. It doesn't have to just be hard facts all the time, which is kind of what news is.
Hmm.
So honestly, it can get a little bit boring sometimes, because you're just kind of taking stuff that other people say, and you can't really say your opinions. You can't be biased, and you can't, say certain words on air and stuff like that. So I think having your own brand is a little bit more fun, and like you said, you have like a little bit more freedom to, kind of do whatever you want to do with it. So that's like the funnest part about it.
Hmm. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you've been doing in your pivot and creating your personal brand, and we're going to take a couple of questions as well. As you've been pivoting, we've been working with you. So you're a contributor for SOHH, and you've also gone through the Guild Accelerator, which is our program for media and journalism, kind of next generation, teaching you not only the foundations of writing, but also these other elements, being in front of the camera. You recently had a chance to kind of get in front of the camera and interview one of your favorite celebrities. Talk a little bit about what that was like.
Like, you're talking about the Pink interview,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so definitely a little bit nerve wracking. That was like the first time I did like a celebrity interview, but I guess it's like, what you're asking, like kind of the pivot between the
Yeah,
news,
like
right?
how did this is your chance to kind of start creating your front of your front of the camera instead of behind the camera. So, how was that, doing that for the first time, and was that everything that you think you want to do? Is that kind of, yes, this is kind of what I want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of in front of the camera before, so I kind of just brought that out of me, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was definitely a little bit nerve wracking, I would say, but at the same time, excited to kind of try a different avenue, because that was, the first time of me doing something like that. So I would say, kind of having that experience definitely makes me want to go out and do it again. And like I mentioned before, like, I could be more myself and be more creative in the words that I say. And not just have to be so like serious all the time and stuff like that. So it's definitely exciting, but very nerve wracking at the same time.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
you're also writing stories now on celebrities and fun things of that nature as well. So you're kind of getting a chance to be a lot more kind of playful in your in your presentation versus just kind of like you said, straight news. Now, I want to take a couple questions about your skills and what you're bringing to the table. Question. Do you let's see, do you utilize your video editing skills? Because I know that that's part of what you did in school, and now you're doing that as well. How much are you kind of bringing what you already learned to the table and kind of mixing it all up now?
As far as I use video editing with
Every
producer or
like,
just like with you guys?
yeah, every day, just in turn, how useful are your video editing skills to what you're doing now and what you think you want to do for the future?
Yeah, I would say it's very useful. So like with being a producer, I definitely could use my video editing skills when it comes to matching the right video to the words, because if you're talking about something, you want to kind of visualize it and see it. So that kind of goes hand in hand with video editing, and that's kind of something what I learned in school. And then with writing with you guys, I've done a few video editing things with you guys as well. So um, yeah, learning that video editing in college definitely has put some pretty good useful energy towards like my career now, and especially it looks good on paper too. Like someone who doesn't have video editing skills versus someone who does, it's like, okay, I will go with the person who does have a little bit more skill as well. So
Right.
yeah, it definitely helps a lot with kind of my career and where I'm at now.
Yeah, and also these days it's the journalist is no longer just the writer, right? So you're getting the writing.
Yeah.
You do write scripts and you're writing a bunch of stories with us as well. But then you have to be kind of multifaceted. You got to be able to package, because now it's also video, it's audio, it's everything. So those things probably come into handy as well. Now, talking about writing and things of that nature, are you still reading? Are you studying? And are there books and topics that you kind of feel like if you were to give people some advice, what would you tell them that they needed to do in terms of preparing themselves? Any resources and things of that nature?
Some advice I would say would just to kind of be patient. Especially like when I talked about before starting at the bottom and you're just like getting out of school and everything, and you kind of maybe see your friends pivot in this direction. You're like, oh, I kind of want to do that, but I'm not there right now. Like, and you kind of start to compare yourself to other people and their success, but you're not really looking at yourself and being patient in your own journey. And I think that's like really something that I'm still kind of learning, because it's really hard, especially seeing some other people that might just be more successful, because what really is your success. Your own success is like success, but you might see someone doing something that you definitely want to do, and you're just not there yet, and it's just not your time. So I would just say the best advice would just have just to be patient and just be on your own journey.
And do the work. So you're getting your stories, you're
And
getting
do the work. Yeah.
don't wait for the opportunity. Take advantage of
Yeah.
the opportunity, which you're certainly doing right now, and you're getting
Be proactive in your patientness.
be patient but proactive.
Right.
Okay, all right. And where are you going next? What's the next thing? I mean, what's the next thing in terms of you building yourself up? Have you created your social media? Like, how's your social media development going? What are you working on in terms of your personal brand now as well?
Yeah, I would say definitely social media is, I think I'm learning that that's like really the most important thing right now, because everyone's on social media. It's like the face, like of everything. So if you definitely want to try to like build your own brand, social media is definitely like the place to start. And that's kind of where I'm at now, like figuring out what person I kind of want to be on social media and putting more of my personality out there, because that was kind of always a problem for me. Like, I don't want to put too much out there, and then like people feel like they know me and then they really don't know me, and it's just like a whole thing. But no, like I'm learning that it's okay to be more of whoever you want to be on social media, and putting your brand out like that, because people really love authenticity. Like they really, really love it. And if you're just really authentic in who you are, like someone's gonna like it. Of course, people are gonna hate it, but some people are gonna like it. So, yeah, I would say doing that. I've been networking with a lot of people, like learning, going to like different conferences and stuff like that. There's also like a radio station here with WFTV, and I kind of like go there and kind of like check out stuff like that. And yeah, this is like a lot of talking.
Hmm. A
While I'm
lot
talking with
of. Hmm.
other people and stuff like that, just letting people know who you are is the best way I think just to build a brand. So
Hmm. Would you, let me just ask you, in terms of your experience working with So and the Guild, what would you say the most value you got out of that? Because you were in the accelerator. It's a 4-week program. It's really intense. What's the real value people can get out of something like that? That's really kind of bridging the gap between what you're doing, what you did in college, and then kind of who you want to be in the world. What would you say the real value out of an accelerator like the Guild is?
I would say just creating more like opportunities because I did get the team interview with you guys. I did get like a lot more networking connections on you guys. Like I had people emailing me saying, "Can you write this for me and put it on sale?" And I was just like, "Oh, like people are actually reading what I put out." So making connections, I got that. Meeting new people, like meeting all of you guys. Like you know who I am now. I know who you are now. I got that out of it. And then just like practicing my writing. If you write every day, like you get better every day. So yeah, those are pretty much the biggest benefits I got.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you, and there's more to come. We've got a lot more opportunities in your area that you're going to be, hopefully, if you have time, you can take advantage of. But we're super excited about where you're going, and we're super excited about being a part of your journey and looking to see what's next for you and how we can play a role in that. So we're thanking you today for sharing everything you've shared. Your social media, we're going to put it in the notes so people can reach out to you on social media and make more connections. And thank you once again, Kamryn, for joining us
Thank
today
you.
on the speaker
Of
series.
course.
All
Thank you. All
right,
right.
then. Have a great one. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.
Awesome.